I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of the Syrian Arab Republic.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, once again, this important international forum witnesses the exploitation of human rights in the service of political interests of some countries and the creation of polarization and politicization targeting the Russian Federation on the pretext of dealing with humanitarian issues in the Ukraine. My delegation stresses the importance of guaranteeing and respecting human rights and the importance of providing necessary humanitarian assistance to all crisis areas. Yet, at the same time, we reject any politicization of humanitarian issues and stress the importance of adopting the principles of impartiality, objectivity, and non-discrimination in human rights issues. Mr. President, this coordinated Western move to denounce the Russian Federation has no relation to human rights in the Ukraine or anywhere else. Rather, it is an effort by Western countries to impose their hegemony and control over the world through besieging Russia and its punishment for its independent foreign policy. When the United States of America and its allies destroyed the Syrian city of al-Raqqa and killed thousands of innocent people there, we did not see such international media and political mobilization to expose the perpetrators of human rights violations. General Assembly Resolution 60/251, establishing the Human Rights Council, stressed that all human rights are universal, indivisible, interlinked, and intertwined, and that they should be treated in a just and equitable way on the same footing and with the same degree of concern. However, the practice that we have seen since the establishment of that council until now proves the adoption by certain Western countries of politicization, selectivity, and double standards in dealing with human rights issues. They focus on the situations of certain countries in a manner that serves their political purposes. At the same time, they disregard other situations where grave human rights violations, systemic and grave human rights violations, were perpetrated in the full sound and sight of the world. And what the Palestinian people has been exposed to for decades at the hands of the Israeli occupation forces is the best proof of that. Another example is on the hypocrisy of those states is their disregard for the safety, security, and protection of civilians, including women and children in Donbass, who have been shelled and who have been attacked for years. We haven't seen such a move. At the same time, the invocation of the pretext of paragraph 8 of the resolution establishing the Human Rights Council is a major source of concern, since we have not seen any evidence to base such talk about grave violations of human rights. What is the credibility of the sources of such information? What are the impartial international mechanisms that were providing such information or proving their perpetration? The launching of accusations and the spreading of such accusations through misleading media and the photographs and videos whose sources and places are unknown, and their spreading through open sources cannot be basis for General Assembly action on the issue. As in the Syrian situation, Security Council and General Assembly meetings are always preceded with theatrical provocations, such as we witness in the Ukraine, to justify decisions planned by Western and hostile countries in the name of international legitimacy. Mr. President, the draft resolution before us today involves a serious case of hostility and a clear example of the adoption of exclusion of which we have warned. The suspension of the membership of the Russian Federation in the Human Rights Council will have an adverse effect on its balance, its universality, and the effectiveness of its role. Such suspension will enhance the hegemony of a group of Western countries on this important body. They will impose their vision and their criteria for human rights, and which will be used as a tool of political pressure and the targeting of certain countries. To be more frank and transparent, we believe that such practices represent a threat to the existence of the United Nations organization itself. Therefore, and proceeding from our firm and principled position in rejecting all attempts to politicize human rights, we will vote against the resolution before us, and we urge other delegations to be aware of the dangers of embracing these efforts at confrontation, isolation, and hostility. We call for the rejection of double standards and to keep human rights issues away from all political considerations. If we want the United Nations to continue and survive, we should all say no to such resolutions. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the distinguished representative of the Syrian Arab Republic.